So folks, welcome to the channel, or welcome back. And in this episode we're going to continue to strip the frame of old Rusty. And that means we're going to take off these big old fenders. And first of all we're going to take off the headlights, and then we're going to try to unbolt the fenders. But before we can do so, we'll need to take off the front bumper. And as you can see, this is just a straightforward steel bar, which is unfortunately bent in this area, but I'm quite sure I can straighten that up again. And if you look close enough, you can actually still see the license plate that used to be on this truck. So the headlights are actually mounted onto the fender, and there's a piece of wood here, and in fact it's on both sides. So it was not very uncommon to find pieces of wood used as spacers, and I've seen this all around the cabin as well. It's pretty rusty, but it comes off. Now let's see if this one is going to work. I bet you this is heavy. Whoa, that doesn't go that easy. Next up are these big bolts, and I'm not quite sure how those are fitted. It doesn't seem like I can get to it from any direction. And they could be hard because I won't be able to put a socket on because this is sitting in the way, this part. So I have an old wrench laying around that doesn't fit 100%. But probably good enough, so I'm going to try to see if I can actually open up or break the bolt. And it seems like I'm able to. Wow, I'm surprised how this works. Well, here it is. A bit of penetrating oil will always help on these bolts because they are really rusted. Somebody mentioned in the previous episode that I should use some penetrating oil or deblocking oil. In fact, I always do, so here it is just to show you. And I forgot to mention that last time. So the next thing up is to remove the lights, and I want to make sure they don't break because I want to recover these. There are two bolts in the back here. I already was able to undo one. Now I need to undo the second one. But before I can do so, I will need to cut this cable. And I don't care about the cables because I will have to rework all those anyhow. So that's not a big deal. So let's see if we can undo the second bolt as well. That went smooth. And these are the nuts that go on there, so I want to keep those. So let's see if we can get the lights off. That went easy. We have one more bolt to undo. Now let's see if we can get this loose. Now that should be it for the fender. It should be coming off. And here is that wooden block I was talking about. So let's get the cables out. Now all these grommets, as you can see, they are completely deteriorated. So all that has to be renewed anyway, so you might as well pull it out. You don't expect so many little parts on this frame to be disconnected, like this little panel right here. It's two little bolts on the side, one bolt there, and then on the top we have kind of a, well, kind of, I don't know, vilt kind of thing that is supporting the fender so it doesn't rattle. So that has to come off as well. There we go. I don't worry about these little screws because they will have to be new anyway. But some screws I do worry about, like the ones on the lights. I cannot afford to lose those because they're part of the lights. All right. Getting the fender off wasn't all that hard, especially if you're using penetration oil. Now I've been using this oil the day before, in fact 3 days before I started to work on it, and it really helps. I hadn't had any bolts that broke off so far, which doesn't mean it's going to be always like this. There may be cases where I may have to grind off the bolts. So now I'm going to remove the other fender and then we continue. All right, light should come off. So most bolts I don't really keep because they will be new, but these on the lights I need to keep because that's part of that fixture and they're still in a good condition, so I'm just going to put them back so whenever I restore the lights everything is together. So I think the second fender now should come off. And this is where the wooden block came off. I'm not sure in which direction it was, but I think it must have been like this because the dirt is on the other side, is on the back side. This is the dirt and this metal bar is that dirty. So it was like this. So it's important to know because I need to put it back that way. And I can tell that the wood is most likely oak. It feels like oak. It's pretty heavy. I'm going to remove some of the wiring and I don't know if I'm going to keep these terminals or not. I most likely will create a brand new wiring loom, but still I'm going to try to disconnect it and then we'll see. There's still plenty of time to decide what we're going to do with this. I mean, you got to say one thing. In those days, these connectors were connectors, not like today's plastic stuff. Of course, things were a lot simpler. You didn't have all the electronics and so on. Next up is the removal of the steering column. So this rod is going to the steering wheel. This is the steering house, which is bolted onto the frame with 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3. And this is the arm which is then going down to the actual steering rods onto the wheels. So I need to disconnect this big bolt, that bolt, a bolt underneath, and then I'm going to remove the arm from the rod which is going to the wheels with this nut right here. But as you can see, everything is very, very greasy, so it is good for the bolts because then they are preserved. But sometimes you need to clean it up a bit before you can really unlock all these different things because it is dreadful to work like this and then to put your sockets on. It's really a mess. So I'm going to use some brake cleaner to clean that up. I mean, this is grease from God knows how long. All right, now at least I can see the split pin and I can knock it out. Okay, that's one. That's number one, and there's two more to go. All right, so I want to keep those bolts as a reference. So next I'm going to try to remove the steering arm, which is connecting to the wheels from the steering house. I'm not sure if this is also a 22, but it looks like it. Hopefully it comes off pretty easy. But that doesn't mean that the arm is going to come off easy. Let's see if we can knock it out. Doesn't look like it. All right, so I'm going to let it soak a bit more. So let's see if we can heat this up a bit and then see if we can get it loose. A lot of grease around, so that catches fire sometimes. There we go. Took a while, but it's loose at the end. So now we need to get to the bolt here in the back. So let's see if I can turn the steering wheel a bit, so we have access to it. So with a little bit of luck, we can take the steering column off. There we go. And this is a heavy piece. So the next thing up is trying to remove the front suspension. Now, Old Rusty has one full stiff suspension in the front. So there are no shock absorbers or anything. There are only leaf springs on the sides. So I'm going to disconnect the leaf springs on both sides, and then I should be able to roll away those wheels and everything which is attached to that. But before I do so, I will need to remove the brake lines. So this is the brake hose, and of course this hose is worn, so we'll have to replace that. So I'm going to try to disconnect it here, if I can, and that doesn't seem to be the case, so I need to hold it. There we go, that's disconnected, and I should be able to disconnect it as well on the wheel. I don't know in what state the brake pumps are, but this is something for later to worry about. Right now, I just want to disassemble things so I can actually take care of the frame. Okay, maybe I tried to unlock this one because I can't really get it loose. Okay, that seems to work better. So let me put this back. Now I can remove this. All right, so I'm going to keep those brake lines aside because I will have to get new ones. So to remove the front axle from the frame, I will have to disconnect these top bolts in 4 places so I can knock out this piece, and then the whole thing will come down if I lift up the frame. So I hope I can get this out. I'm not sure. But first of all, before I do so, I need to clean it up and put a bit of spray on it. Like everything else on this truck, everything is really, really dirty. So these are easy to get off, but getting out will be a different story, I think. Now those should be fairly easy to get out. But I'm not going to knock them out completely because I need to support the chassis first. So I'm going to use my engine lift, trying to support the chassis. So let's see if we can lift it up and unlock the pins that are holding the springs in place. That's number 1. All right. I removed all the pins, so now let's see if we can get the chassis off. Seems like it doesn't come off here yet. It seems, in fact, that it has even come more forward, so I'm going to lift it up a bit more. All right, knock those off. Yep. So it's loose. So I have my chassis supported by a jack. So now I should be able to remove and hopefully we can now roll out the wheels from underneath. And this is pretty heavy stuff, but it should work. All right. So I'm going to put a couple of stands up to lower the chassis onto. And these are pretty heavy stands. I think these are 6-ton stands. Should be more than enough for the chassis. So I'm going to lower it down slowly and see how it fits. All right. So that should be good. All right. So these are the pins that are going through the shackles, and as you can see, they are still in a very good shape. So those are reusable. I didn't expect that for a truck that old. So folks, we've come to the end of this video, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did, although I didn't really enjoy it. But then again, pain before pleasure, as they say. So we removed the front train, we also have removed the fenders and the lights and some of the brake hoses. In the next video, we're going to remove the rear axle, the drive shaft, and also the brake cables. And then we should be getting pretty close to the actual shot blasting of the frame. There's still a bit of work to be done. So expect some more videos to come. Bye-bye.